being an American, we are a land of waste, and that has not to be done. And we can make a change. We can make a change in few ways. Is the change which I talk about on a day-to-day basis in our restaurants as well as in our walk of life is how we can try and utilize every bit of that product. And talking about every bit of the product, all this that you would have taken it out, it's very easy. Just put it into a jar or put it into any container, add some water. The same water, what we could do is we can strain it after a day. You can leave this water in the refrigerator, strain it after a day, and you'll get this beautiful, lush strawberry water. And this is, on an average, something that you would have thrown away. You could have just done that. If you like, add in a few strawberries in there. And the next thing you could do is just sip on it, and you will see that you have that same delicious water, which you would have normally taken a whole strawberry to do. Here, what you've done is you've used up the scraps to make something so beautiful as that. And one thing that we are more proud than the Japanese is we always carry our alcohol in our pocket. So you can always make a drink too. So, especially with Yelpers, that's what they prefer, I think. So let's cheers and let's continue this. The lovely strawberries, as well as a good way to start the demonstration of how we're gonna almost manipulate these strawberries in different formats. So let's get that going. Other than that, I also give a shout out to Alex's father. It's his 60th birthday, so we wish him a happy birthday too.
Thank you for the shout out.
My pleasure. So get going. You had I'd sent over 2 different desserts. Now, one of the desserts which you saw, which is this one, which came to you, is it had a little more complexity than what I'm going to show you right now, because we just want to go fast with it. But other than that, what happened here was I took the truffle, put the truffle into a little bit of grapeseed oil and marinated the strawberries a day before. So you've got a little bit of truffle that you're almost creating your own truffle oil by taking grapeseed oil. Like, say, for instance, if you had 4 strawberries, I would have taken about a tablespoon of grapeseed oil, grated a little truffle, let them marinate for a day in the refrigerator. Next thing what we do is we take that, you will feel that to be marinated, it will start breaking down a little bit. And this is the liquid that came out from that marinade, which I'm adding in here. Now, these would have been the marinated strawberries. That goes into this pan, all right? We have just heated a pan up, and we're getting the heat to break these strawberries down a little bit. The natural sugars of the strawberry will break down. If you feel you need a little touch bit of more water, you can always add that, or better still, the flavored water. That's even better. So you're adding that in, you'll get the sugars from this water, which is perfect. So you don't need to add any more sugar to it. All right. You just want to let it cook down. Now, this would be the fast way of just doing it on the stove and getting it done. If you feel that you have more time, another very good way to go about doing it is doing it very slowly over a double boiler. By doing that, they will break down a little less at a slower speed, and that will enhance the sugar content in these strawberries. So you have that going on here. I have some truffle out here. Now what I did was over here, I just nicely microplaned it, or you could just add 2-3 small pieces, just break it up. All right. Let it just soak in for a few seconds. And once that, you'll see the heat is building up, the strawberries have started to wilt a little bit. All right. At this point, what we'll do is we just need to remove them. You'll see the color change of the strawberries. You'll see that almost glaze come onto your strawberries. This is the time we switch it off. We'll pour it right into your bowl. For the crunch, what we did was I just added a little bit of almonds. And then for the cream that was created over here, we've got a little bit of black pepper with the creme fraiche. So that's what's added onto the top. When you try to eat this, first I would suggest is just take the strawberry by itself. Do not eat it with the cream. See the taste build up. Then take it with the almond a little bit. And last, you eat all of it with the truffle, a little bit of that cream. And you will see the taste profile change with the creaminess of the creme fraiche versus the strawberries by itself. The strawberries with the almonds. The strawberry with the almonds will get a little bit, of course, the nuttiness from the almonds, but you will get a more sort of a sweet aspect to it versus the tart aspect in the strawberry. So once you're eating with the creme fraiche, you get that sweet and tart, and that creme fraiche giving it almost coating your mouth and giving it a very different feel to the strawberry. So try, whenever you are working the food, try and dissect it a little better so you'll get a better understanding of that product. So that was here. This was something.
Some is going on the actual bags.
Sorry, there was some disturbance. I'm not sure. So try and do that with any food that you eat, but definitely with something which has a little more complexity. This is a great way of your palate understanding it. So that was one thing. The second thing was, which the dessert that we showcased to you was the brioche. All right. So in here it was cream as well as mascarpone, which was marinated with the brioche bread. After the brioche bread was cooked into the oven with the cream, the next step was I had taken strawberries which were cut down. Just by leaving them cut in the refrigerator, they will break a little more. Those strawberries were poured over, second baked again. So that was the second bake of it. And that's how it will stay very, very soft the whole way. More so because the strawberries have leached more water out, and that water will keep that brioche very, very wet. So that's what we've done out here. And the last step of it was we took strawberries, cut them almost like much thinner slivers like this, put it on a sheet tray, still packed, dried it out in the oven for, I would say, in a 200-degree oven. I think it took about 2 to 3 hours, and then crushed it and put that crushings over. So you got a different feel of the strawberry with the crushed strawberry versus the strawberry which was wet and marinated into the and baked into the brioche. So that was your second dessert. But one other thing which is very important, which you could also do, which we did, was made a jam. Now, making a jam, of course, is much more complex with the pectin and all, but even if you want to make a very easy type of a jam, what you could do is just do a reduction of it by just smashing the strawberries open and letting it cook very, very slowly, letting the sugars macerate. If you are a person who likes a little more sweetness, I would say add a little more sweet sugar to it, or you could at the very end add honey to it if that is something that you prefer. I did it with just plain strawberry. So what I did here is I just cut one of these strawberries, a sliver out here. This is just some plain sponge. And you could take a little bit of the strawberry jam and put that over. So again, this is a good way if you do know your strawberries are getting a little bit older, or if you feel that you've not utilized the amount of strawberries that you've bought. This is a great way of making something, preserving it. Now, something like this will stay in the fridge for a long time. Now, of course, we've not added any additives or anything, so you don't want to keep this jam outside. You want to refrigerate this jam. But keeping it in the refrigerator easily, even though we've not really made it like a traditional jam, it will last you at least for about a week or 10 days for sure before it will change its profile in terms of taste. So, but it is a good way of at least stretching that product instead of throwing it in the garbage. And the last thing I would say is if you just have a tremendous amount of strawberries that are getting much softer or much faster, the best way to do it is just pulverize it, put it into the freezer, and you're able to use it next time for drinks or whatever else you may want to make, even if you wanted to make a reduction or make a dressing or whatever. But just try and see to it that there's less food waste by using these different techniques, as well as getting these strawberries eaten in different formats. Now, again, you might wonder, why are these strawberries a little different? One of the reasons being that this, being the king of strawberries, it is a strawberry which, on an average, when most strawberries, where you get about 6 harvests, for these you get only about 4 harvests. So you see that length is much longer. So you've got that intensity of flavor going in. There's limestone in that area. So the soil has a very different buildup of the earth is very, very different. So that's another reason why these strawberries have that other aspect. And the last reason being that there are only 4 growths is the way they water these strawberries. These strawberries are watered 2 hours prior to after sunrise, and they stop watering them 4 hours before sunset. So just that little change of how they manipulate the growth of these strawberries to get this amazing product, I think, of these Amaou strawberries. I think that's the real difference from the rest of the strawberries that we are so used to eating comparatively. Another thing is the aspect of it just having that longer ripening because of the way they water it, that getting that just those 4 flushes of strawberries, that also makes a huge difference to this, that sweet and darkness coming through. So that's really my take on why I found this strawberry really, really exclusive, and found it as a much superior strawberry than the strawberries that we kind of used to eating. And I just hope you enjoy it. And as I said, please try and use every bit of it that you have, literally 0 waste, and you can extract the most out of every product, because I think that's something which is very crucial for, as an educator, as a person, and in the world that we live, is to really see that we try and make that difference in every walk of life, in anything that we do in life. So we can make that little changes. I think we can get to a much better world and a better way of eating. And I think that is how eating should be judged, of how we can stretch our products and make a product last as long as you can, and make things in a different format. So that was my take on these strawberries. If there is any questions regarding this, if some aspects of that you would like to I'm so sorry. There was one thing I completely forgotten telling you. When I cut these strawberries small and let them marinate, I also added a little bit of champagne to it. All right, and that's how they were marinating too. So that champagne almost also broke it down. That's why you got a little more liquid in it too. And that champagne broke it down. That acidity of it broke the strawberries down a little more. So I'm sorry about that. That was in this dessert, in the brioche, and so that's one point that I'm sorry I forgot to tell you about. But if there are any other questions or any other things that can be answered in terms of any food, but more than anything, these beautiful strawberries, I'll be very happy to take those questions. Or if Hundu or Katie, if you think of something that you need the amazing crowd to know, we'll be very happy to know it. And I think
Well, I have a question, Chef.
yeah.
What was the first thing you were thinking the first time you had one of these strawberries?
The first thing I was thinking, very honestly, was the time the chef I worked for at John George. I was a pastry chef. I was the assistant pastry chef at John George when it first opened. That's, I don't know, close to 25 years ago. I worked there for 2 years, and we made this on a teppanyaki grill, and we used to saute these strawberries as because his wife was Japanese, so he was very, very used to working with these different Japanese products, or just the way he would assemble things. Had that, it really took me to that first thing, that aspect of that beautiful grill, the aspect of how he had thought of making these beautiful fluffy Japanese pancakes to go along with these warm strawberries. That was the first thought that came to me, very honestly. And sometimes such things just stick in your head, you know, when you associate one culture with another, and when it comes again back to you, right into your hands, it's just that was the first thought that came to me, very honestly.
We have a couple more questions from some of our Yelpers. Jane is wondering, when are these strawberries in season?
So they are mainly in season in November is, I think they come in. I think that is when the season starts, and it lasts till about March, if I'm not mistaken.
So we're right in the middle of the season right now.
Yeah, so this is the end of, this is where it will start diminishing. And if COVID was not the case, rush to Japan, check it out for that last flush of strawberries.
And Kathy is also wondering if you could just quickly repeat the steps when you made the strawberry water.
The strawberry water, very, very easy, Kathy. So all I did was I just took all these stems that I just got, threw it into a pot or whatever, into a jar, anything you may find. Actually, I'll tell you one other story with these, with marinating this. And then I just say, so if it's about half like this, I filled the jar up completely with water, closed it, put it into the refrigerator the next day. That's the beautiful outcome that came out. I mean, you could see just from these little bits of the end, you're still getting this amazing, beautiful color, the amazing strawberry taste. And again, that I think comes out even more richer through this, because I've done this not just with these strawberries, I've done it with the strawberries that we have been using from New Jersey and parts and different aspects. The color does not come out this way. It just never, it's a very pale pink-ish red color that I normally get. Here, I would say this is definitely more on the, like it's red. And which was, again, you could see that difference because I've been doing this water even before, and which was very, very amazing. And when it says that the strawberries are red, it really did prove that case is definitely the case.
I want to quickly circle back to the season comment. Of course, this current run will end, that's selling in Mitsuwa this March, but they are planning to bring it back next season as well. So during November, they should be restocked in Mitsuwa. So if you missed this run, make sure you go out come November to pick these strawberries up.
And I think that's really the beauty of agriculture, that unfortunately we have forgotten that there are seasons to different fruits. We are so used to just getting it all year round that I think we don't see that joy sometimes of a certain product or the aspect of how good they are during a certain season. Because I think in America, we are just so spoiled of getting things all year round, not just from because they are manufactured in large places, but just managing to source things from different countries also. Even that, I mean, there's a strawberry season going on somewhere else. And so even that has, I think, made us a little more lax-sided of getting excited over products which are coming really particularly grown very specifically for a certain season.
And I just got word that not only in Mitsuwa, but next season it will be sold in Eli's Market in East Village. So you should be able to pick those up there if you're living closer in the East Village.
Brilliant. And of course, RESOBOX is also in the East Village, and you can pick it up from them too.
Yes, when we have the strawberries.
Yes. Any other questions from you guys?
Some folks are actually wondering, is it possible to pick up these strawberries in Queens somewhere?
I don't think currently we have any plans, or they have any plans to stock it in Queens, but it's definitely a work in process. They're trying to put it into more distributors' hands. So if there are any that will be in stock in Queens, we'll definitely let you know.
Alex, this is the time you need to pitch about that you live in Queens and you will throw away the books that are behind you and you'll stop selling them.
Yes.
And that's how you do business.
Yes, I missed my opportunity. Okay, I'll deliver it to you through Uber Eats.
So I think Allison L asked a really interesting question. If the strawberries were cared for like these, I'm assuming she means just like strawberries that are grown on a farm in America, would they have a better taste, or is it all in the soil? And I know personally, I've watched a lot of videos about how they grow fruit in Japan, and there's so much that goes into it and so much about quality control. So I think it would be interesting to hear a little bit more about that.
I can't answer every bit of that because I have not actually been to the farm there for these strawberries, but I think anything in life which is grown with a very specific way of that soil. I mean, it is like saying, are the wines from Napa not as great as the wines from Bordeaux? Yes, they both have the very high-end Napa wines are amazing. But that still cannot compare to the Bordeaux soil that we are talking about. So there are two different points. I think there are two different aspects. The ones that some small farms grow in New Jersey, which you get at the farmers market in New York City, they are brilliant. I mean, they really, really are. I'm not denying it. But it's a very different taste. It's not the taste which is coming out from these strawberries. Now, if you feel that strawberry is the one that speaks to your palate, then that's what it is. But this is a very different taste. It is a very different mouthfeel. The bite is different. I think that aspect of that sweetness and that tart coming in, not very sharp, but very subtly. I think that is the difference between, and that's if you like that. I mean, you may not like that. You may just want a straight up sweet strawberry. And that's what we are very used to getting here too. I mean, and we find that absolutely delicious. And not that I don't find it delicious. I find those also very, very delicious. But there is, I think, a certain reason of using something like this versus something else. It's literally like I always say, I always think it as a drink. There are some people who love a Manhattan, and there'll be some people who like a Pina Colada. And, they're complete two different drinks, which don't have anything in common in that sense, but it's still something that two people want to party over, right? And I think that same aspect of what your palate really is looking for, and want that bite, that subtleness, if that is what really excites you, this is the strawberry. If it's just a different way, a different sweetness that you want, then maybe it's a New Jersey one. So whichever a very small farmer grows. So I think it's very relative, I would say that. And both are very good. Don't take me wrong.
Well, very cool. Jane in the chat is actually wondering, she wants to know if the limestone in the soil, which makes these strawberries stand out, or is it considered the king of strawberries?
This was a question I did ask the farmer too, as he was also said they believe so, but they really think that it's the way they water it is one of their key ways of how stretching that harvest to go much longer compared to the other strawberries which come out. I think that is the main key, is what they feel is why their strawberries have this beautiful sweetness, redness, a little bit of tartness, and it makes it's a surety, because you're seeing that most people get 6 flushes where this is only 4 harvests are coming out. So you know that just that watering ways of doing it, the way it's harvested is longer, and that is really the main difference.
Well, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to answer all those questions. If anyone else has questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. And if you want to ask your question directly, feel free to mute yourself as well.
Yeah, you can ask us directly too. And if there's something that you remember later on, write to us, that send me something on Instagram, and I'll be more than happy to also answer you there or through any other medium.
And these strawberries, as I mentioned in the beginning of the event, they're still looking for a footing in the US. So if anyone has any connections to distributors or markets that might want to carry these strawberries, you can definitely reach out to them as well. They're always looking for extra help.
Okay, then. Well, Alex, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about regarding the strawberries?
I'm sure. Let me ask Mr. Kawakami if he wants to say anything more about the strawberries.
There was one point that he did mention to me, that they do put bacteria in the soil to raise the temperature by a degree. And that could also be one of the other reasons why their strawberries are a little bit different. And I forgot that when you questioned me, Katie, regarding the soil, the limestone, that was something that also was mentioned, that just rung a bell. That, I mean, that could be traits, right? And how they are grown wines. So it's pretty much, I think, in that same category too. So that was one other thing. Sorry, Alex, please tell us about that.
No, I actually, you mentioning about the soil reminded me that he did mention that the pH level in the soil is different compared to like other strawberries as well.
7, which is quite normal. It's quite normal. He did mention that it's not anything higher. It's a very normal pH. It's 7.
Does anyone in the chat have specific questions towards Koji himself? Do you want to ask him about the strawberries specifically in more in detail? This is a good opportunity to do so. Other than that, I will pass it over to him to have him get a closing remarks. 川上さんは何か一言いただけますでしょうか?
Alex, I have one question. I'm just wondering, how long did it take him to develop these berries?
川上さん、質問なんですけれども、こちらのアマオを、今の状態まで育てるのに何年ぐらいかかりましたかと。そうですね。
ゼロから始める場合は2年間かかります。
It takes about 2 years if you're starting from scratch to get the berries to this quality.
I'm not surprised. It seems like a labor of love. There's so much that goes into it.
日本ではこのイチゴしか日本では食べないんですかっていう質問がありますけれども。
いや、それ以外にも日本にはたくさん美味しいイチゴがあるんですが、 福岡一番その高い金額で売ってるのはアマオです。
So I just picked up Allison's question that says, does everyone in Japan only eat these strawberries? Which is, I wish that was the case, but that's not the case. But if you go by value wise, Amao is definitely the king of strawberries. It's sold at the highest price and people regard them very highly.
I have a question when it comes to importing these strawberries to places like the US. How much of a drop off in quality is there when they come directly from Fukuoka? And let's say, does it come within a day? Is it 2 days? Obviously, it's most optimal to eat it over in Japan. But I'm just curious, is there any noticeable difference in quality once it gets over here?
輸出に関しての質問なんですけれども、輸出する際にどれほどの日程がかかるのか、また品質がどれほど落ちてしまうのかという質問ですね。
輸出に関しては、約3日ぐらい、3日から4日収穫して、3日から4日後にはニューヨークに到着お店に並ぶようになっています。で、品質に関しては、おそらくその他のイチゴにはなくて、スポンジをパックに引いて送っていると思います。その分、傷みが少ない状態でニューヨークまで、お届けができると思います。
So it takes about 3 to 4 days to ship it after harvesting to ship it to New York. And of course, there's a little bit of degradation in quality or in compared to freshly picked, but we package them properly. We package them with a sponge on the bottom, and that kind of helps with the preserving the quality of the strawberries.
I also think it's kind of worth mentioning that I don't know a lot about American agriculture and American fruit, but I think a lot of strawberries in the US are genetically modified to last, and we eat them weeks and weeks after they're actually picked. So the opportunity to have these Japanese strawberries nearly fresh, I think, is really exciting.
アメリカでは品種改良などしたイチゴがほとんどで、栽培した後、3週間、4週間後とかに食べることも結構ザラなんですけれども、こういうフレッシュな、とても美味しいイチゴを食べられる機会が得られてとても嬉しいですとおっしゃっております。
ありがとうございます。作りがいがあります。
Thank you very much. Those words really encourage us to create more strawberries and provide them to you guys.
So for anyone who's inspired to try more of these strawberries, and let's just say that the pandemic is over and it's safe enough to go to Japan, when is the most optimal time to go? Like, when is the best time for someone to experience these strawberries at their peak, if you will?
こちらの今回のイベントで日本に行きたいと思っている人も多分たくさんいると思うんですけれども、もし福岡に、来るとしたら、時期はいつ頃が一番いいですかという質問ですね。
アマオの美味しい時期が1月から3月までが一番美味しい時期なので、その時期に福岡に来ていただけると美味しいアマオが食べられます。
So if I'm speaking purely off the Amao, how good the Amao is, but like the Amao strawberries are most delicious from January to March. So if you come around those periods of time, you should be able to have the most fresh, most delicious Amao strawberries.
Alex, can you hear me right now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sorry, I think we got cut off. But one thing that I did want to mention, Jehangir, was that from the time we place an order with the exporter, we get it in a day. But the problem sometimes lies is it gets stuck in customs. So that is where sometimes we lose time. And like our 3 weeks ago, one of our batches were stuck for 3 days, versus this one that we got for these beautiful desserts, we got literally in a day. In the morning, they were here, and in the night we had placed the order. So it's just a matter of luck. Sometimes, unfortunately, that's where that quality could differ if they are stuck in customs for 3 days. And that is where being such a prized product sometimes can be very detrimental to the American market, like if you're selling it at Eli's or wherever. But if it's coming in a little bit late like this because of our doing, of course, because of reasons from the customs, I'm not trying to blame anyone, but what I'm trying to say is if that happens, that's where the issues do lie. And that is very common with any food and anything that can happen. But that's where the main problem is.
Well, thank you for clarifying.
Thank you very much. That is very insightful.
So are there any other things? Anyone has any other questions for it? Anyone? Don't forget, you can even pickle these strawberries. You can make these into something spicier too. They hold up very well. Keeping them completely whole and also cooking them will give you a very different mouthfeel to it. Just like how I cut it and cooked it, how it wilted a little. If you had done it without cutting them at all, doing it in a slow way, will give you a much different mouthfeel to a strawberry too. So it's really manipulating how you cut, how you cook will change the mouth profile, as well as the sweetness and the tartness will come out differently.
Okay, well, if no one has additional questions, Alex, do you have any sort of last words that you'd like to impart?
川上さん、イベントの、締めなんですけれども、何か言いたいことございますでしょうか？
美味しいイチゴをたくさんニューヨークに送りたいので、たくさん食べてください。
As long as you enjoy the strawberries, we would love to create the strawberries for you guys. So make sure you eat our strawberries and we will keep sending those delicious strawberries to New York. Thank you very much for having this event and attending this event.
Thank you, Kawasaki-san.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Appreciate everyone's patience getting this going. And I just want to thank RESOBOX. I want to thank Chef Mehta. I want to thank everyone that was here tonight. And enjoy your strawberries. Have a great night.
Yes, enjoy the strawberries. If you have time, we will be running a promotional video of Fukuoka in this room. So it's not mandatory to stay, but if you are curious, we will run that video right now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good night.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Hanju. Bye, Kawasaki.
Thank you so much, Chef.
Thanks, Chef. Bye, Koji. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. 川上さん、ありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございました。
That was great.
So as you can see, I guess not only food, but it also has a lot of cherry blossoms, great sights to see. So come visit Fukuoka when you have a chance, when the pandemic is over. And as for me, I'm more of a food person than a cherry blossom person. I much rather eat things than look at things. So I will be going for the food, but you can also go for the sightseeing. And thank you very much for staying, everyone. That concludes the event. Thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank you so much again, Alex. And thanks again, everyone, for being here.
Thank you.
you.
Have a great night, everyone.
Have a
Happy
good
And
night.
have a great
Friday.
weekend.
Bye, thank you.